Out there. And I believe we in there.
And we live, babe.
Oh, we live, baby.
We live, babe.
Facebook, what up?
Whatever happened to
Yo.
Am I my brother's keeper, huh?
You know what?
You know what happened to it.
It became my people's keeper. A moment of information, impartation, and inspiration to uplift, encourage, and most importantly, empower. So am I my brother's keeper? Yes. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes. Oh yes, I am my people's keeper.
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? And welcome to my people's keeper. Hey.
And we're back.
We're back and we live, baby. Yeah. We're live. Listen. I am so excited about today's episode. I'm so grateful again for always being on this platform. And thank you to my friends and my family for joining us tonight on this week's podcast of My People's Keeper. Am I my sister's keeper?
Yes, I am.
Am I my brother's keeper?
Yes, I am.
Am I my people's keeper?
Yes, we are.
I'm so excited. Listen, man, y'all know my lovely co-host. I mean, I'm going to let her do her thing, man. I don't want to, put the gravy too much on her because that is my baby. But she back with me. Come on, baby.
Hey, people. It is so great to be back. I haven't heard from y'all or seen y'all in about a month. Been traveling. Yeah, and doing some things, but I am Patrice Robinson. You can call me Trees. I am my people's keeper, and we are here to inform and educate our community.
Yeah, we almost had to redo her contract because she was taking off too much. But I'm grateful for all of those special guests that I had. Shout out to them as well, and definitely always
thank y'all for filling in. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, they saved the job. And definitely to one of the greatest media groups in the world, 119 Media Group. Shout out to the Media Group family.
119.
Yes, Lord, we in the building, we in the place. And listen, I want y'all to like, I want y'all to share, give us some hearts, talk back to us in the comment section. And definitely we want you to also be able to chime in and tune in via YouTube as well. 119 Media Group, you're able to go back and view the show there as well. But also in the car when you're riding. Definitely, you can go to Spotify. We're on Spotify, 119 Media Group, and you can find us there. Scroll down to the episode of My People's Keeper, and you can definitely listen to us there. So we're grateful to be on these several platforms that we're on. I feel like I'm somebody.
You somebody.
Yeah. Listen, and so tonight we're gonna jump right into it, man. One of the things that we wanted to try to make this platform about is not only to make sure that we provide information, but also inspiration, to make sure that we uplift, encourage, and motivate our listeners, because truly I believe that this is definitely a prevalent time for us to make sure that we're constantly providing information that is going to change the narrative of our people. Yes, that's right, of our people. Those that are listening, hopefully we'll be able to say something that will help build you, that will help uplift you, and that will help encourage you. So listen, I see Buffy on the line. What's going on, cuz? I see a couple of faces on the line. Listen, tonight we are talking about what is grief.
And grief, y'all know that's a topic that we all can relate to. We all have some experience with it. But grief, what is grief? So to start us off, grief is defined as a deep sorrow caused by the death of someone special to you. Grief is the response to loss, particularly the loss of someone or some living thing that has died, to which you had a bond or some type of relationship with.
Yeah. In those simple terms, I think all of us that are listening can relate to that. And this is so fresh. Again, when we talk about grief, so many of us have lost someone special to us I mean, just recently. I mean, definitely we can go back in the moments of time and say, those key people such as grandparents that we lost, and some you lost parents, siblings, cousins. But recently with the whole pandemic that has happened with COVID-19, definitely with gun violence, is definitely one of the initiatives that helped push us to be on this platform as well. Not only understanding what grief is, but things to help you deal with grief. And so, I lost, a very close family member, my only brother. Many of you all know that. Again, there's a lot of individuals, classmates, friends that I know, my wife as well. I'm from Hartsville, South Carolina. She's from the Denmark area.
Olar, South Carolina.
There is not a stoplight. There is a caution light.
That's all right, but
Yes.
there.
And so, we have experienced losing family members and all, like I said, to gun violence. And so I think this is a topic that many of us can actually chime in and talk about. And also, definitely, the line is open. If you see the number flashing, we would love for you to chime in, call in. You can even call in even right now. And as we talk a little bit more about,
all right, David, I see your comment. Olar, South Carolina. We know where it is.
Lord,
Highway 321.
Oh, David, no. Yeah, Highway 321. If you drive too fast, you gonna miss it. You gonna miss. You better not blink. You better not be asleep. You better not even dig down to get a pen. If you,
all right, that's enough.
Okay,
get off my town. Get off my
all right,
town.
but anyway, grief, deep sorrow caused by the death of someone, and I believe that there are different types of sorrow, different types of grief. There are those deaths that that you prepare for.
Okay.
Like loved ones.
But it's still grief. I don't think it's a type of grief. It's still grief. And I guess how we relate to it, or how
can we say levels?
Explain levels.
Well, we can
grief
try to
is
find
grief. Like, we can have a sorrow. Some grief just hit harder than others.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. We'll just say
right. The pain just hit harder than others.
Okay. Hit harder. Hits a little different.
Exactly. Like, I can say my dad died in 2019. He was sick.
Right.
So I expected it happened. It was his health was constantly declining. So I had more of a acceptance because it was happening. So, I mourn because I do miss him, but it wasn't in a place where I got stuck.
Right.
Because
you expected
I saw the decline and I expected it. But it's those unexpected deaths that just hit us harder than others.
So we're talking about expected deaths versus unexpected deaths. That causes the different types of pain is what we relate. I like how we
so it's the levels of pain, maybe, but grief is all grief. It's a sorrow.
Yeah. Grief is all grief, but it's a sorrow. So with that being said, what are some of the different stages, I guess? Matter of fact, let us get a little more in depth when it talks about grief. If you could share that with us.
All right. So when it comes to grief is a natural reaction to loss. It can be universal and it can be personal. It's a ending of an important relationship. It can be job loss. It can be theft. Someone took something from you that you value. It can also be, you can grieve from independence. Say you used to walking around, you used to having all your limbs, you used to functioning, but then you get in a car accident and now you're a vegetable.
Wow. So
you grieving at the fact that I can no longer maneuver like I used to. I can no longer just go to work. Now someone else is responsible for me. Someone else has to take care of me. So you can grieve the fact that you no longer have your body parts.
So the key word is loss. Right. The loss of something.
Someone.
Yeah.
Loss of something or someone.
Someone, right. Okay.
Grieving is a process. You have no control over it. Your emotions are all over the place. The emotions can be very strong and your emotions can be very overwhelming.
Wow.
Mourning can last from months to years. there are 5 stages to grief. And to be honest, I don't even think we make it. Sometimes we never even make it to the end stage, because when you really lose someone that's close to you, or you really lose someone that meant so much to you, you will constantly think on it. You will constantly have those memories. So the 5 stages, I'm gonna name them first. The 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Those are the 5 stages of grief. And let's talk about denial. Okay. So denial is when you first learn of the loss. It's a feeling that you get that this thing happening. I know we was just together. We was just at the cookout having a good time. Right. And now I got a call saying you were shot. Or now I have a call saying you have a terminal illness and the doctor only gave you 2 months to live.
Right. I think you breaking that down just like that, it goes back to that day, that night. And again, forgive me if I have forgive, and not saying forgive me in that sense, but you know, I just it happened so fast. When you talk about my loss or our loss, you know, first thing when I got the call that Brian, was shot, I just assumed that,
he was shot. Okay, he on his way to the hospital.
What hospital we going to?
We about to meet you there.
Yeah. Okay, what you talking about? Shout out to my cousin Wanda. What you mean? Okay, where do I need to go? No, he didn't make it. Like he's been murdered. So my mind is starts, as I saw Buffy writes, spinning.
Right. So
emotions.
You're numb. You're shocked. You're shocked at the information that you are receiving. Like, no, this didn't happen. This not happening. Not my brother.
Trying
not
to figure
my
it
cousin.
out.
You know.
Like, how? Like, how in the world did that happen? What was he doing? You trying to figure out, play back in your mind, knowing him. He didn't get out quick enough, knowing how he used to tell stories. Right. About just hearing a sound and it jumping to scare him, alarm, being alert and taking off. And it's like, what do you mean? So all of that, spinning in your head, still, and even to today, to be honest, there's still somewhat of a denial. Like, you think it's is this a dream? Right. The fact is, he's not here.
Terry Michelle, I agree. There are no real order to stages of grief. We can be in any stage at any time. The next stage we're talking about is going to be anger. Now, anger can pop up at any moment. And for us, anger was kind of strong over the last couple of days when, the individual was released on bond. So it made us definitely feel some type of way or whatever. Hey, we're angry because we have family members that was taken away from us so soon. We are angry because, you think about, I'm going to think about my children and how Brian and my brother TJ used to plan when Ariana started dating that they was going to pull the bad boy scene when the date come pick her up from the house. And so when they used to tell her that all the time, we going to do this bad boy scene on you. And, so now, we started talking about, a little boy liking her, different little things. And then it got quiet because she remembered what her uncle says to her, what they're going to do. And we was looking forward to the laugh. Mm-hmm. So you have that moment where anger takes over because now we won't have this experience. We won't have this moment.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Anger because it's just not fair. Like when it comes to death, I always think about there's so many pedophiles and murderers and people that just does harm. Why they still here? Why they still walking around?
Hey, listen, we're going to say some things tonight that
you may or may
you
not
have
disagree.
been thinking about, and you've been thinking about it, you just haven't said it. That, to be honest, you can say if you disagree or don't agree, we're just having a talk. And again, this is not about when we're talking about this process of grief. So definitely, if you get offended by it, then that means you haven't lost anyone. If you get offended by it, then that means, you know what I'm saying, you haven't been impacted by a loss like that. And so, you know, we look at this again, anger comes in waves. Again, any moment there are things that can trigger, you know, trigger that scene. And again, I want to share this as well, because again, in moments like this, like I said, we've lost my brother. There are other countless people in my community, in our communities, that all of us know personally that have lost loved ones, that have lost their children, that have lost their kids. And I'm talking about over the time span. So again, when we speak his name, we also remember their names as well. You know, those that are watching this live, those that are listening, your son, your daughter, your brother, your cousin, we're talking about them as well. And so again, when you talk about anger and justice, you know, having to be served, there's a consequence to all action. I'm not going to go too much in depth with that, because again, everybody have, it's about grief, you know what I'm saying? But it'll change, you know, push you there. And I serve the devil notice too today as well. You know what I'm saying? We are talking and dealing with what it is that we as a people, as a community, have to start talking about, because there's a lot of people walking around that are still mourning, and they haven't gotten to the place to just grieve, because grieving is a process. It's a continuous thing. If you mourn too long, that's where depression and all of that other stuff comes in. You get into that dark place, and that's not what you want. You want you to mourn too long. You're going to always, yes, remember your baby, remember your son, remember your daughter, whoever it is.
Depression is part of grief as well.
Okay, you just said it. Well, I'm talking about that dark place.
We're gonna get there. I got you.
I'm talking about that dark place. I don't want to get in that dark place. That's what I'm talking about. When you mourn around too long, you get into a slump. It's a place. It's like the sinking place that you don't want to get in. So let's go ahead on to now, because we get off anger.
Okay, so one thing with anger, also you may direct your feelings towards other people. Do we have a caller?
I don't know if we have a caller here. Go ahead, continue.
Okay, no, that's not a caller.
But please, y'all see the number? Please call in.
Okay, so we have so one thing about anger, we may direct that towards other people. We may even direct it towards God, and we might be angry with God because we're like, God, I serve you, I trust you, I'm faithful to you. How could you take my family member away? But right. That's a process. We go through that. But all those feelings, these are natural feelings. So these are feelings that you should express. These are feelings that you should share. And these are also feelings that you should talk about with someone. If it's not a family member or a therapist, counselor, someone. The third, the next step is called bargaining. With bargaining, you talk about what you should have done to help prevent this loss.
Oh, wow. Bargaining. Okay.
Bargaining. Yeah. So what could I have done to prevent this loss? Could I have kept my dad home and not put him in a nursing home? Maybe he would have been here a little longer. Wow. What if I would have invited my brother-in-law to come join us for dinner that night? He wouldn't have been home. Yeah. What if I wouldn't have ate too much of this food that I know that was bad for me and it turned into cancer? And it's like all the what if that goes through your head. What if I did this, or what if I did that? You are bargaining, trying to strike a deal with God, trying to talk to God and say, what if I would have did this a little different? But guess what? We have no control over death at all. We don't control it. I
was just thinking about that earlier today, how, we can take advantage of moments of what we do, while we have the time to do it. But one thing we don't have control over, and that is life or death. And that is giving life and taking life away, which means death, because that's all in God's hand. And in due time, due season, everybody got an expiration date. At the end of the day, we do.
That's why he
Again,
don't let us know it,
He don't let us know it.
because we'll try to do everything we can for it not to happen, so we can stay here a little longer.
I was thinking about something. My son, he's always asking these weird questions, or these like, would you rather eat something and get 1 year? He said,
Okay, would you rather get $1 billion? But if you get $1 billion, you have to press this button, and this button will take life from you.
Yeah.
So
right.
you got to decide, and then it'll have you thinking, well, I'm about to be a millionaire, but how you know that if you press this button and it take life for you, your life could be gone the next day. So
Right. Wow.
yeah,
That's
so
funny.
it's one of them. It's one of those things.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that are listening. Like I said, please call in 803-479-1683. We would love to hear from you. Caroline, I see you on the line. I mean, definitely, please, if you can, we would love you to call in and just kind of share. But just even thinking about breaking that deal with God, and thinking about, I know a lot of people on this live right now and that are listening to this podcast right now. I know many of you have said, what if I would have done this? I mean, in all kind, there are so many different scenarios of how, of the what if. You know what I'm saying? What if I just told him just to come on by here instead of letting him go ahead, ahead. And so again, that goes to show, what I'm saying, our heart, what I'm saying, for those that we are connected.
Yeah.
And so that says a lot. And so it leads us into the next one, which is the depression.
Depression is sadness sets in you as you begin to understand the loss, and it affects your life. So
Wow.
with depression, you can cry. Depression causes sleep issues, decrease in appetite, but I also think it can cause an increase in appetite as well, because you can because of how you feel, and sometimes you need comfort food, so you will just constantly eat, trying to help fill a void.
Right.
Depression, I mean, it's just sadness that comes over us, because we look at this in a year when we lose someone that we love. We go through, and we're used to seeing them for their birthdays. We used to seeing them for family events. We used to seeing them for Christmas, Thanksgiving. You got 12 months in a year, and you used to seeing them at least 6 or 7 times in a year, and probably every month, or whatever the case is. So you have a family member that their presence is no longer there. You no longer have them to joke with you and clown and just have a good time. So now you missing something. It's a void.
Yeah.
And so when you have that void, it just makes you go to a place. And sometimes you don't want to go to that place of depression. But I believe I've only lived for 36 years, but I promise you, I've been dealing with death
Girl, you that old?
most of my life.
Death
for me I can just remember just in high school, we lost people. Car accidents, back to back, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Like, it was always something major and tragic happened. So sometimes I think I done got numb to certain things. But
we might have
a caller. Let's see.
Hello, you're on the line with my people's keeper.
Hi, William.
Hey, how are you? Who am I speaking with?
Hey, this is Carolyn.